It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what is going on? Covering the latest in wrestling entertainment and beyond since 2011. You are checking out episode number 1007 of the RCWR show this Wednesday night of March 1st, 2023. What is good, kind people? Hey, what did you think about this Go Home Revolution edition of AEW Dynamite? Sound off if you haven't let your voices be heard just yet on our interactive poll, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab, and for you Twitter lovers, we definitely have it available on Twitter as well at the RCWR show. Later on in the show, we will go over the results for sure. I may mention those polls one more time, but I really don't think we need to, but it's definitely out there. This overall did not feel truly like it didn't have that big feel, we're going into what's probably going to be a really, really important pay-per-view here. And that's despite the fact that AEW, Tony Khan and crew were very, very sure to end AEW on a high note with Bryan Danielson and MJF. But, you know, we couldn't dare run into a little bit of OT because we had to make sure Dana White's slapping little show comes on. I refuse to watch that. I just, no, it just, that does not. Now, you know, I was here a couple of shows ago, and I believe it was on the WoW recap, and I went into it a couple of minutes about Beavis and Butthead and how wifey cannot stand Beavis and Butthead. But I have definitely found my kryptonite, which is watching two grown-ass men smack the living crap out of each other. I do not find that entertaining whatsoever. I guess even I have my respected limits, let me tell you. Look, we got a lot of ground we got to cover on this episode because on top of talking about Dynamite, we also got to show some love to the full card, the way it's standing right now here tonight for this weekend's AEW Revolution pay-per-view event. And then we also got a little bit of headlines that we got to get into. As one that's had a lot of buzz going around is Kenny Omega's chat with Renee Paquette, where he opened up very candidly for about the first time about the All Out Brawl that had occurred last year. So gonna be a solid show that we got planned for you guys tonight. Hump Day is here. Hope you guys have been doing pretty good so far. I'm debating on whether or not we come on live this Friday night, maybe at 11 p.m. Eastern. Part of me was kind of thinking about maybe doing a little bit of a experiment just to kind of see what's going. Actually, you know what? Now that I'm really stopping and thinking about, no, scratch that. Just no, pretend you didn't hear that. Just pretend you didn't hear that. Yeah, you didn't hear that. All right, so yeah, my thoughts about this Dynamite. Like I said, it didn't have that overall pay-per-view feel. I gotta be honest with you, there was so many mundane moments in this show that I found myself many times, and it's very rare that I find myself in a position when it comes to Dynamite where I'm drifting off, my concentration is not intact, and I'm doing any and everything else but actually paying attention to the TV. It got to the point, normally, what I like to do every Wednesday night, I like to camp out in the living room, stretch my feet out on the sofa while my dogs are playing around, and I pop my glasses on because the TV's pretty far away, and I watch the TV. I watch Rampage. And this had to have been one of those nights where I said, you know what, I don't even want to bother with the glasses. This was after watching what I was watching for probably the first 45 minutes of the first hour. I just put my glasses to the side and I just said, yeah, okay, it is what it is, whatever. It just felt like it was going to be one of those nights where, and remember what I had said on Monday's show, okay? Less than 48 hours ago. Remember what I had said to you guys, which was, okay, Tony Khan was able to hype up that whole big announcement for about 5 days going into last week's Dynamite, and it did pretty good for them, respectfully, because they ended up getting over 1 million viewers. But let's see what happens with the carryover. Let's see how many of those 1 million plus viewers, let's see how strong that carryover is going to be after such a deflating announcement was made, okay? And I believe I have said, look, if they lose anywhere from 50,000 viewers to 80,000 viewers, that's relatively, that's pretty good. But I said if they lose more than that, boy, you got yourself a problem there. So I'm most curious to see how the ratings come about for this week's episode, and if it kind of matches up, just a little snapshot of some of the consensus that I had saw online right before coming on here doing the show and everything. You had a All-Atlantic Championship match between Orange Cassidy and Big Bill. Here we go again, and is it just me? I mean, honestly, guys, is it just me, or does it come off as if in AEW, Tony Khan and crew, they just love to have these big, giant men that just look like they can whoop about 5, 6, 7 people in front of them? And you feel where I'm coming from? Does it kind of come off as if it's one of those type of deals where, you see these big, huge guys, and you're like, wow, man, AEW and them, they should be doing something with these guys. Okay, cool. And yet, constantly, the running gag that we're seeing with these huge, big men is they're in these matches with small guys. So, if ever an exploitation about a big man taking on a small guy, David versus Goliath, it is definitely a calling card that Tony Khan, AEW, and crew, they continue to do on an almost weekly basis, okay? And look, don't get me wrong, depending on the matchup, there's definitely times where you get a pretty solid, okay, hey, this was pretty entertaining and everything. But let me see if I got this straight. We've got a guy in Big Bill, W. Morrissey, Cass XL, Big Cass XL, Morrissey, just on and on and on and on and on. We've got this huge guy. Dude got serious height. He is cut like a mofo. This dude looks like, I'm telling you straight up, if you were in an airport, Orange Cassidy is not wearing his trademark denim jeans, shirt, glasses, all of that, okay? And you put Morrissey, Big Bill, whatever you want to call him, you put those guys smack dab in the middle of an airport. You're trying to tell me that a flock of people wouldn't go running to Big Bill and say, do you play some type of sports? Are you an actor or something? Or are you a basketball player? Are you have that question kind of going in the back of your mind, because I bring that up for a very good reason. And I mean, you just look at this Big Bill dude who, to his credit, has done a lot. When you just think about the personal adversities that this man had to go through to get to where he is now. He was not, a couple of years ago, he was not in the best frame of mind spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And he has done a serious 180 since then. And we're going to have this guy in this match against Orange Cassidy. Okay, we're going to do another David and Goliath story, but once again, we're going to have the small guy destroy the hell, basically, out of the big man. Yeah, that's cute that it took not one orange punch, not two orange punches, but 3, 4, whatever the hell. Okay, I get it. We're trying to explain how tough this big man is and everything, but it just rubbed me the wrong way. Who said that you always have to do a pinfall or a submission? Sometimes, hey, I'm all right with just seeing a guy as huge as Big Bill lose his cool when he thinks that he has a 3 count and the referee is counting way too damn slow or whatever. His temperament gets the best of him and he just coldly knocks the living out of the referee, and that essentially causes a DQ or whatever. You know, it's whatever. Look, that's just my opinion. That's just how I'm feeling on it. You all can sound off. Y'all may feel very differently about it, but that's definitely where I'm coming from on that one. But was it an overall good match, despite the fact that, you know, we've seen this calling card from Tony Khan and crew over and over and over again? You know, yeah, for the most part, it was an entertaining matchup. I thought it was actually a pretty good opener for what it was worth and everything. They actually gave those guys about 12 minutes of a match, so 12, 13, maybe 14 minutes here or there, so pretty good for what it was worth. From there, trying to see what had happened next, looking in the notes here. This is probably going to be one of the quickest Dynamite recaps too that we've been on the roll the past couple of weeks, by the way, when it comes to just offering thoughts, doing these recaps. You notice I've been at it a little bit quicker, you know, just in and out. That's how you need to do it, just be in and out. But let me circle back to that match one more time. I gotta give Cassidy his props. I mean, I will say this as far as Tony Khan and them, at least they are trying to do their best foot forward in booking Orange Cassidy in such a way where, look, not only is he defending the championship, but look at these great strides, look at these great adversities that this guy has to come through in order to retain the championship. So I will give them that. I'll definitely give them that one. But yeah, Samoa Joe joining Taz and them on commentary for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Now, we were supposed to get this on the pay-per-view, but unfortunately, it didn't come to be. And as you all saw on social media, Eddie Kingston was pretty salty about that. Well, you know, not going to be the first, definitely not going to be the last. Participants in this one: Eddie Kingston, Sammy Guevara, AR Fox, Action Andrade, Powerhouse Hobbs, Takesha, Ortiz, and making his AEW debut, if I'm not mistaken, at least on Dynamite, Commander. So I'm a little bit on the dark about Commander. I got to do a little bit more research about that guy, but in the meantime, if you all want to chat the rest of us up on demand and on the downloads on social media platforms, you guys can definitely do that. I'll have more to say about the guy on next week's show for sure. Not Monday, but definitely next Wednesday's show, since that's more central on the talk of AEW and everything. Powerhouse Hobbs picking up the win, winning the opportunity to challenge Samoa Joe for the what is it? I believe this is for the Samoa Joe's title. Yeah, because Samoa Joe, Darby Allin got the TNT title back from Samoa Joe. So I believe Samoa Joe currently is holding on to the ROH TV title. So that was the implications here in this one. Look, I thought it was a smart move. Just looking at the names in this one, honestly, you could have easily gone with Eddie Kingston. Look, you couldn't have gone with Action Andrade, and the main reason why you couldn't have gone with Action Andrade is because, hey, you're still trying to build this young man up and everything, and they have let off the pedal just a little bit, but they're trying to gain everything back with him and all of that, as we've seen. And you know, what a nice reward that they gave Andrade by putting him in this matchup and all of that. Takesha would have been interesting direction to go in as well, but the fact that they went with Powerhouse Hobbs, me personally, and look, I may be a little bit biased here, but the fact that they went with Powerhouse Hobbs, I'm actually okay with it. I have been on this show, I have definitely been saying in my Rampage reviews, yo, where is Powerhouse Hobbs? What is going on with Powerhouse Hobbs? We got to try to do more with Powerhouse Hobbs. So the fact that they have slid him into this position, I'm okay with that. But I don't think Powerhouse Hobbs is going to get that championship off of Samoa Joe. And you look at the final moments that had transpired after the match was over and done with, you know, we see Powerhouse Hobbs is celebrating, but the next thing you know, we see Wardlow, you know, he comes out, right, because he's pretty much heard just about enough now that he's seen who the victor is and everything. Remember, he still has a bone to pick with Samoa Joe, so it was nice to see Wardlow out there pretty much reminding Joe, dog, you and me, we're not done, not by a long shot, man. You and me, we're just getting started. But then in the mix of all of this, you got Powerhouse Hobbs and the opportunity that, you know, that he has that's before him. I kind of feel as though somehow when Powerhouse Hobbs and Samoa Joe do lock it up, you know, it's gonna be a grueling matchup, right? Two big behemoths going at it and everything, but I feel that Wardlow is going to somehow get involved in this. And look, not for nothing, but remember a couple of months back, we kind of had a little bit of a trifecta that was going on here with these respected men. So if Tony Khan and crew kind of want to revisit that, I don't have a problem with that, because it did kind of feel as though it was abandoned right when things were starting to really pick up. So I don't know if you guys were kind of picking up the same vibes, if you all were actually into the beginnings of that program, but I definitely would love to see these guys pick it up for sure. So Takesha looked like he was probably going to be the one to win it, but Hobbs getting the win, nice. That was nice. I actually had enjoyed that. Nice stuff right there. That was about 13 minutes. You know, look, you know how I am by now when it comes to these gauntlet matches, or, you know, in this case, we had ourselves a Face of the Revolution ladder match where you're grabbing for the big old Cheerio hanging above the ceiling there. Okay. Going for a big old Sonic ring, right? Every time I see those damn rings, it just makes me want to freaking play Sonic the Hedgehog and all that crap. But you know, look, so far you get a championship match, and then after that you get a gimmick match. Okay, so we see what Tony Khan and them are trying to do here. They're trying to load it up with these first couple of matches, trying to hook the viewers in, grab their attention, and, you know, you definitely appreciate the effort when it's all said and done. Where we start to go into a nosedive for sure is when we get to Chris Jericho taking on Peter Avalon. And look, as soon as this match was announced, I mean, look, you appreciate Tony Khan and them as far as the storyline continuity goes and everything, because it was just last week or the week before, mind gets a little blurry there. You know, we had Peter Avalon that had got attacked by Jericho, because remember, it was the segment with Ricky Starks and Jericho. It was from last week, Ricky Starks and Jericho, where Ricky Starks had issued a challenge to anybody that wanted to go one-on-one with him at Revolution, and we saw Peter Avalon come out there, and remember, Jericho taking a cheap attack there to Avalon, and that's pretty much the basis of how we got to see this match come about tonight. So appreciate the continuity there. I think we all do, but we never looked at this match and said, okay, yeah, Peter Avalon, Chris Jericho, oh yeah. You know, we pretty much looked at that and said, okay, you know what, this is definitely going to be a squash match, and it served its purpose. Okay, that is exactly what it was. Nice to see Avalon be able to play with a leading man here in AEW, if you will. But nothing much you could say about this one. This was pretty much an easy win for Jericho. Post-match, Jericho with his trademark bat, getting ready to go to town on Avalon. Cue up Ricky Starks to come out there. Next thing you know, Jake Hager, Daniel Garcia, they ended up coming out, and Jericho Appreciation Society getting the jump there on Ricky. Jericho topping it all off with the Judas effect. All right, so we're setting the tone here, building up more anticipation, more hype for this match between Starks and Jericho at the pay-per-view. All right, totally was fine with that, right? But that is honestly where your nosedive starts to, we're starting to go on a little bit of a decline here, unfortunately. I would say, it kind of picked up a little bit. No, it did. I'm jumping ahead in my mind. But your nosedive began right around Chris Jericho, Peter Avalon. And then from there, you get this Hangman Adam Page segment. God knows where this man is, but it seems as though he's outside somewhere. And I don't know if this is a case where I don't know who to blame for this. I don't know if this was audio tech issues and they were outdoors and they didn't have the common sense to test out the audio, do a test video run to play it back afterwards, or what. But Hangman Adam Page's audio was so damn low, it wasn't even funny, okay? And when I hang out to watch TV in the living room, on a few nights, definitely on Wednesday nights these days, watch my wrestling, my TV is at a decent level, so there's nothing wrong with my hearing, okay? I'm like, what the hell is this dude saying? I crank up the volume a little bit more, trying to hear and the guy sounds quiet. It's almost as if Hangman is trying to make sure that he doesn't disturb his next door neighbors, or maybe there's some type of a funeral or mass is happening right now where he's filming this or whatever. But I wasn't feeling the location of wherever he was. I'm like this, if I can't hear you in the first couple of minutes, or actually if I can't hear you in the first several seconds, I'm just going to tune you out there, right? So you pretty much were able to put two and two together, figure out that this man was, essentially trying to hype up the match with John Moxley this weekend. But yeah, the audio issues there, I find that amazing as somebody that fucks around with audio, that has edited, produced audio. I'm always rendering. I just find that amazing, okay, because all the years of expertise that I have, and I'm hearing all these audio issues that's going on with the Hangman. I don't know if it was a case where maybe the live arena feed was open, because when I do go back and I think about that segment particularly, you could hear the fans in the arena where Dynamite was at tonight. You could hear those trying to be quiet, listen to this, and others that pretty much were shouting whatever towards the Titantron with Hangman Page on it and everything. But maybe you could say it was the fact that, okay, the open live feed, that's still on. They didn't completely shut it off. But I just find it amazing as somebody that messes around with audio. Look, I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but I'm definitely past intermediate. I will definitely say that, okay? I got some tricks and all that. You know, if you were to go, you know, beginner, expert, you know, master, right? I'm like a trick or two away from saying master. I'm in between, okay? I'm kind of in between that. But I just found that to be so amazing with the audio issues. Hopefully they will go out of their way to upload that on social media and their YouTube channel so that we can hear exactly word for word what Hangman was trying to say there, because a lot of it had sounded pretty inaudible. So you go from that to another talking point segment with Christian Cage, who was in the ring chatting it up with Renee Paquette, and Christian Cage disrespecting the hell out of the San Francisco fans, taking digs at Jungle Boy Jack Perry as well, making note of the fact that Jungle Boy said he wanted to capture a singles championship in 2023. Christian Cage saying ain't no way, no how that's going to be going down, because if anybody's going to be capturing some championship in 2023, it's actually going to be me. And pretty much going on to say the problem with guys like you is that you just look at this whole thing like one big old world of a video game, right? And I thought that was kind of that he mentioned video game, because quick sidebar, there is a video game. I wasn't going to mention this until much later, but since we're talking about video games, one, did you guys see the rating that John Cena had got? In case you didn't see, they gave John Cena for this upcoming WWE 2K23 a 94 rating, and it looks like that's for current Cena. So I don't know if I agree with that. I think current Cena should be at about a 86 to 88 rating. Whereas if you're going to go with the prototype, the prototype John Cena, that guy should definitely be at about, I would say, somewhere between 82 to 85. And then if you're gonna go with Prime Cena, the John Cena show, Super Cena, I mean, this is just me, y'all can debate this, but I think you should just put that at 100. Seriously, I think you should just put that at 100. Make it tough as hell. If anybody should have the most resilience, the AI knows just how to play Super Cena perfectly and all that, it's constantly is kicking out and everything. I think, the 100 rating for Super Cena, that should be. But in regards to video games, not so much that, but there's a new video game that apparently is being developed right now. I wish I was talking about the AEW joint, and more stuff is getting ready to happen. We finally got a release date. Who knows? Maybe as we go into Revolution weekend, we'll finally get more information. But how many of you guys are aware of the wrestling video game that is titled Ultra Pro Wrestling? If you don't know anything about that game, go online, go on YouTube when you get a free moment and check out the trailer for it. These guys are really trying to do their best to pay homage to the Nintendo 64 and WWF No Mercy. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before over the years, and you've seen some gaming companies and you're like, okay, who isn't trying to? These guys, my first impressions, because they had dropped a trailer with the announcement yesterday to close out the month of February. The game looks pretty freaking sweet, and it's in development right now. They got a Kickstarter, so you guys can learn more information, and there's loads of sweet perks that you get. I mean, for just $25, you can get a credit in the game Okay, how cool is that? Just for like $25, you can get a credit. So y'all might want to peep that out and everything. And they're saying that the game is supposed to come out October of this year. So I don't know if, and it seems like budget-wise, they're not asking for that much. They're just trying to hit $20,000 and some change. And right now, they've successfully been able to raise over $10,000. So they're halfway freaking there. And looks like that was created maybe 2, maybe 3 days ago, possibly, this Kickstarter. I'm not really sure. I just know they have 28 days left to try to raise that amount of money. So I may reach out to these guys, see if they might be interested in coming by the show to talk a lot more about that game in the future. I'll keep you guys posted, but look them up, check it out. You guys will definitely, you'll mess with it. I definitely was really taken back by it. But anyway, after Christian said that spot there about video games to Jungle Boy, we saw this weird montage pop up with Jungle Boy in a video package on the Titantron, where it's basically showing Jungle Boy Jack Perry, digging a ditch. You're assuming he's digging a ditch for Christian Cage, where basically he's looking to end this once and for all, bury Christian Cage, essentially, and all that. So kind of nice how they had set that up. Not too shabby, Oh, you know what? There was a brief appearance by the Elite. And who knows what was getting ready to happen there. We won't know, because the lights went out, came back on. They got attacked by the House of Black. And as we went into a commercial break, when the lights came back on, House of Black had already made their exit, but the Elite was laid out on the floor, top of the stage ramp area, and they actually had to be helped to the back by officials. House of Black having a message for them later on. Pretty much, see you guys this weekend. So that's pretty much how that went down. FTW Championship match, Hook defending against Matt Hardy. Huge stipulations put in this match, quite easy. Hook wins, he gets to have himself a one-on-one match against Stokely Hathaway. Plain and simple, right? Here's another match. I gotta say, I never realized until we had Matt Hardy going up against Hook. I never realized just how small, I don't want to say petite, I don't really want to say that word, but it kind of feels like maybe that's the word I need to go with. But size-wise, my God, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but Matt Hardy kind of seemed like WCW's Hulk Hogan when Hogan was trying to stay off the roids there, and he was nice and trimmed up, but even at that, he was still a big guy. Matt Hardy kind of looked like that when compared to Hook. Hook looks so damn tiny, man. I'm like, what the hell, right? But I tried to put that to the side as best as I could and just went into this saying, okay, you know what, here we go. A first real test for Hook as he's going up against a veteran here and all that, right? Hook picking up the win. It was a good win for Hook. It did come off, kind of challenging, right? But I never felt that the FTW championship was in jeopardy. That's the whole thing. I never truly felt, and that's despite the fact that Ethan Page and Stokely Hathaway were pulling some shenanigans at ringside. I never felt that the FTW championship was going anywhere here. So looks like, I guess at the pay-per-view or maybe on next week's AEW programming, because it wasn't really revisited. Let me actually jump to the card right now, and I can tell you if that is what's going to be happening. Hook versus Stokely Hathaway. Hang on here. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, so I guess that's going to be going down on next week's AEW TV programming by the looks of it. If I have that wrong before we go off the air, please let me know, because if I'm hearing that wrong, I definitely want to correct myself. But yeah, so that's going to be going down, Hook versus Stokely Hathaway, where Ethan Page Everybody else, so that whole little stable, they're all going to be banned from ringside when it's all said and done. Coming up from there, Toni Storm taking on Riho. Of course, you had Saraya and God, you knew that Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Ruby Soho, you knew they were not going to be that far away. Turns out they weren't, here's another case right here. I mean, tonight was the wrong night to watch Dynamite because you saw some glaring things that was going on. You're like, who are these massively huge, big people that are taking on these little, small, petite midgets? I'm not being cruel. Go back and watch what I'm talking about. And you're just going, what the hell is going on here? And you get to this Rio match against Toni Storm. And you're like, wait a minute, this little 90-pound girl is really able to get the advantage here over this very thick Amazonian kind of looking woman here. And Toni Storm, we're really led to believe that this little girl that's 90 pounds named Rio, she's got this bigger girl's number. Are you serious? Yes, we are serious. One thing that they did do right, though, in this matchup was the fact that they made sure that Saraya and just all the shenanigans that was happening at ringside, they made sure to outline that Toni Storm was distracted significantly by all of that, and thus how Rio was able to get in a roll-up to get a upset victory over Toni Storm, which she wasn't able to enjoy that long because as soon as the bell had rung and it was over and done with, Toni Storm immediately attacking Rio from behind. Cue up, the way this has been coming off these past couple of weeks, it just comes off like the end of a Benny Hill skit. Shout out if you know your Benny Hill, okay? Everybody's just chasing each other at the end, and God, one thing that I have not been able to stand and seeing these girls interact with each other over these past couple of weeks is the fact that these girls, when they're trading shots, I mean, it just looks so goddamn weak. It's weak sauce, man. Just go back. Look at tonight. Just go back and look at tonight. You'll see what I'm talking about. And only thing you could do is shake your head as you're seeing all of this go down. It gets worse from there because we had the Blackpool Combat Club versus LFI versus the Dark Order versus Lucha Brothers versus Top Flight versus Aussie Open versus Matt Menard and Angelo Parker versus The Kingdom versus Orange Cassidy and Dan Housen versus The Butcher and The Blade. It got worse because you go into this one, and I can't stand gauntlet battle royals that is like this. This one went way too goddamn long for my personal taste. Way too fucking long. And overall, it just felt utterly freaking pointless. And let's not also forget that just last week, there was some form of a battle royale. And when you compare that to this one that they did tonight, well, you could kind of make an argument, well, at least this one that we got tonight was a bit more entertaining than the one that we got from last week. But here we are again with, okay, we're doing some type of gauntlet, we're doing some type of battle royale, we're doing some type of big O elimination kind of match, and this one very, very pointless. It was way too freaking long for my personal taste. And the spots in this, man, Matthew and them from Botchamania are going to have a field day just off of this one alone, because that's weird. My computer is saying that it is running out of space. Hang on here. Hang on here. That's kind of weird because, oh, you know what? I finally found out the cause of my storage space issues for my Drive C. So it turns out, shout out to you tech nerds out there like myself. So it turns out that in the background, yeah, let me do this while I'm talking to you guys. So it turns out in the background, what is happening is apparently I have a auto file in Adobe Premiere that does nothing but save audio. That's all it does. It saves nothing but audio. And I found this out literally, hang on a second here. I found this out literally, I said do this for everything and then we'll skip. So I found this out literally yesterday, and there's like over 200 gigabytes of saved audio. Just automatically saved audio. And I'm going, what the fuck? So I have been having a running gag the past couple of weeks trying to free up space. Meanwhile, my D drive, no issues whatsoever with my D drive. So kind of weird what's going on. So for you fellow tech nerds that's out there, you want to make sure that if you're kind of having some issues, you're noticing that as far as saved space goes, you're kind of running out and you're trying to figure out, okay, what could be the cause. Make sure you're going into your Adobe Premiere auto save for basically it's a folder called Adobe Premiere Auto Save, and it's Pro Audio Previews. Make sure you go in there and just clean those bad boys out, and you'll be good. Because now if I go back and refresh, because literally as I was telling you guys that I just deleted a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, it looks like that kind of took care of it. Hang on. The reason why I'm going on and on about this now is because if I don't take care of it now, the stream may interrupt just abruptly. So I want to make sure that we don't get no surprises here. Hang on 1 second here, guys. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. Let me go in here real quick. Let's see. Is it this one? Yeah, so let me try deleting these and we should be good. Let me delete these real quick and then we should be good here. Where was I though? Yeah, one thing that was kind of funny for those of you that didn't watch Dynamite tonight, go on my social media pages. I actually had shared it there. When I say that there was a lot of, weak spots that was going on in this and everything, you had spots in this match where shit was not connecting clear as day. And there was one clip that I had shared that I recorded off of my TV where you've got this guy, I don't know who the participants are. It might have been Tony Nese. I don't know why, but I keep thinking Tony Nese. But you got this one guy with dark hair. He's over this other guy that's down on the ground. And I mean, just think the Young Bucks, just go back to Brody Lee and all of them. Just go back to that period. This was like that all over again. It was some hilarious shit, man. I fucking loved it. I howled with laughter. I was in tears when I saw that freaking spot go down. Post-match. Oh, your winners, by the way. Your winners, by the way, was Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. So they are the final team that's going to be participating in the tag match that's going to be coming up for a fatal four-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Titles. Don't worry, when we get ready to talk AEW Revolution, we'll go over the full card and everything. But have that going in the back of your mind. Post-match, Jay Lethal, who was it? Jeff Jarrett. They came in there trying to make a little bit of a cameo, getting in some cheap attacks in there, right? Still expanding on the little feud there that they got going on with Best Friends and all of that. That pretty much was it in a nutshell. Bryan Danielson and MJF closing out the night. We get Bryan Danielson, who receives a great ovation from the crowd, and before he could even really go into his promo, he gets interrupted by MJF. Danielson shuts him up right there on the spot, saying, look, man, I've heard you week after week after week, just complaining about the same thing here. Look, about 7 years ago, it was about 7 years ago, and, unfortunately, it seemed as though my in-ring career was over. I was basically forced to retire. 2 years later, came back, and I said to myself, you know what? If you fight for your dreams, then your dreams will fight for you, and that's exactly what I've been doing. I've fought against so many things, and no reason to go down that rabbit hole. You guys pretty much know, especially if you read his book, you know what all that he had fought through and everything, and after his book had came out, you all know for sure what he had fought through. So to get back to where he is now, he's pretty proud of everything that he accomplished. He's proud of the fact that he's a father, he's a husband, he's got beautiful kids at home and everything. Meanwhile, as far as MJF goes, he brought up the fact that his fiance dumped his ass and said that's probably the best thing that's ever happened to you, right? There was also a line that he mentioned. I'm looking at my notes here. I'm trying to see if I can actually find it, because he mentioned something about rats. Yes, here it is. Yeah, I wrote it down. Shoulders to mats and banging rats. That's what MJF does, and that's what he does right. Right, MJF, right? And so MJF not feeling this. He actually took his blazer off, coming down the ramp, ready to fucking fight, get it on there. Danielson welcoming him to come down there, and he's like, yeah, bring it. I need that energy. I need that passion. I need you to show up this weekend at Revolution, because let me tell you something. If you are off your game, this is 60 minutes. This is a 60-minute Iron Man match that we're doing. You better bring everything that you got. You better be ready to fight with everything you got, because if you slip just for 1 minute, Bryan Danielson's exact words, he will kick his fucking head in. Sadly, that F word got edited out big time. It's kind of funny the way it was edited. Honestly, I would have preferred a duck sound over the cursing. That's just me, but it was still pretty funny the way that they had that. And that is how Dynamite had closed out for this week. When you compare it to last week, you could say that the quality was slightly better than last week, but you still didn't really have that, given all the gimmick matches that we had in this one, and the size differentials and all of that, it didn't really feel like truly a go-home pay-per-view quality type of show. Definitely the Battle Royale, the ladder match, and all of that. That was just, I wish we could have scrapped some of those. First hour of Dynamite definitely flew by, whereas you had a lot of dragging on during that second hour. It was like, it's almost the best way I could describe what Dynamite was tonight. It would be, just think of your favorite dessert. Just picture yourself sitting down at a table and you've ordered, XYZ at this restaurant. And the dessert comes out first. And you're like, damn, I usually don't like having dessert until last, but okay, sure. Well, what the hell? And then, okay, you get your appetizer. Okay, you then get your appetizer, and the appetizer, it's not good, right? It's not good. But then you get the main entree, and that's how I looked at Dynamite this go round. Okay, so you can make an argument that dessert, I said what I said in regards to Orange Cassidy and Big Bill. Good match, but it's just, Tony Khan gives two craps not about big men. I mean, he couldn't let it be any more clearer. Seriously, man, seriously. But then, you have that in your head, but then you're going, well, what about Wardlow? What about Powerhouse Hobbs? What about, and you're hoping that this go round, like, well, maybe it's going to be different. Maybe we're going to find, and only time is going to tell. But as we've seen in the past, big men really haven't been given a lot of love, per se, in AEW. So, but your dessert, Orange Cassidy, Big Bill, good stuff right there. Your appetizer, if you will. Let me go back to those matches again. Your appetizer, if you will, would be the... let's see. No, I'm not going to say. No, that's not your appetizer, no. What would be... No, that's not your appetizer. Would your appetizer be Chris Jericho and Peter Avalon? Would you say that would be the appetizer before you can get to the main entree? The main entree is MJF and Bryan Danielson, right? That's your main entree that you got to get to. But first you got to have your dessert, and then you got to have your appetizer, right? We'll see what happens. Look, on an interesting note, AEW Rampage. I don't even know what the hell the preview is for Rampage. Normally, Excalibur does this fantastic job giving us a rundown, everything that we can expect from Rampage. Nothing was announced except they are going to be doing a live Rampage this Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. It's the only thing that we know right now. So, trust me, when it comes to Friday, I definitely will be doing my thing on the 401mania.com website. So, if you guys are sadly not going to be able to check out Rampage, just come on board the 401mania site. I'll be providing live coverage. Again, it's going to be a live Rampage, not taped. It's going to be live. So, wrestling fans for this week, I mean, that should make them pretty happy because we're going to get a live SmackDown from Washington, D.C., right here, nation's capital of Washington, D.C. this Friday. That's going to have a stacked card. Cody's going to be in the house. Roman Reigns is going to be in the house. So to have that 2-hour live event on Fox and then to immediately be able to jump into a third live hour of wrestling programming there in AEW, man, what a great way going into Revolution weekend. Hey, if you guys been enjoying yourselves so far, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button, smash the bell for the notifications. Most importantly, subscribe. I see we've been kind of staggering a little bit in regards to the YouTube channel. We're like about 7 heads away from reaching 12,300 subs. So let's get past it already so that I can go on to say, let's see if we can hit 12,350. So smash it, all that good jazz. Appreciate the love and support as always. So I've come to realize, no matter how long I have been on the air and I have done this show, I always, and my wife always tells me this, friends always tell me this too, but you're always going to come across people that, I won't say have a screw loose, but there's always going to be some people that, sadly, they just don't get it. Or maybe they don't get it because there is a language barrier or something. So, for example, this is all wrestling related, by the way, so stay with me. This is all wrestling related, and this is going to be part of my New Year's resolution going into 2023 on, basically. So, if you guys were with me for the Monday night show, we talking about Moxley, Horror King? Yeah, dude, that dude keeps cutting himself like a mofo. You're talking about John Moxley. It's nice to hear guys such as Bully Ray and others talk about the fact that, you know what, gotta side with the fans on this one. Dude is bleeding a bit too much. He does need to scale back here. Like come on, what the hell? It's nice to hear veterans kind of chime in and everything, because we have been saying this collectively for a couple of months now, but it's really picked up steam within the past couple of weeks that this guy, every time you turn around, this guy is always fucking bleeding. It's like, dude, chill, right? You just remember the analogy I had used several weeks back where I had said it's no different than when you first had watched Deadly Women on Investigation Discovery, and you're seeing the gruesome way that these people are being killed by supposed loved ones, best friends, and all of that. And you're like, oh man, you get so emotional. Depending on what's going on, you might tear up. Or, the only time I've ever teared up on an episode of Deadly Women, I remember there was this son that had moved in his girlfriend who used to be a nurse. And it turns out this girl was a bad influence on the son. They all were living in the boy's mother's house, and I think she had spinal bifida. She could walk around a little bit, but her age and all that, she pretty much needed 24/7 care, and she was mostly chilling in a bed. I think she would be in a wheelchair, things like that. Stuff would happen where she would soil herself and she would need help. She needed help with baths, things of that nature. And this woman, just the influence that she had on the son, it was ridiculous. Eventually, the son stopped working, and they pretty much were living off of the mother's Social Security and disability checks and all that. And just the way the mom had met her demise. I won't spoil it for you guys. That's enough information for you to try to find out about that episode. You might be able to watch it online for free. But just the way that, I actually teared up over that, because it was like, God damn, like, how heartless can you be to do some cruddy crap like that? And, you see something like that, but then when you see all these other networks that's doing their own version of Deadly Women, Snapped, Who the Bleep Did I Marry? What's the other one? There's some other one opposite of Snapped. They usually follow black couples. I can't think of the name of it right. I wish I could remember, but it's escaping me. But my whole point, you get desensitized. You just, you end up becoming numb. And then it's just, you don't think nothing of it. So now to my point, when we see freaking Moxley, and he's bleeding these days, we're just going, I would like to believe that eventually Ric Flair is kind of like, I thought you got to slow it down. Wasn't that kind of a bleeder. Woo, you would like to believe that even Ric Flair is saying, slow it down, son, slow it down. But Horror King, I definitely agree with you, dude. Yeah, he cuts himself way too goddamn much for my personal taste, man. But no, my original train of thought there, I have found that as I've gotten older, my tolerance for just nonsense, it's just, okay, I'm done. So for example, we go back a couple of nights. You all remember on the Monday night show, we had somebody that kept, going over the rumors of Kenny Omega and MJF going to WWE, and the person kept, that it was a fact. And it was pretty obvious when you looked at the person's name that, they definitely, for sure, did not live in the United States, that, they were definitely a foreigner. And those of you that were with me on the Monday night show, you all remember that, I was pretty nice, I was pretty cordial, yet I was kind of firm in saying, hey, look, don't get so caught up on, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Just focus on the here and the now, and enjoy your wrestling content that you get. Anything can happen between now and next year. For all you know, this may be a ruse. Just take the news that you're hearing with a grain of salt. And you guys didn't see it unless you were here in the chat room at the start. But, once again, he started it up again. And it was kind of one of those deals where you go, all right, so you know what? At this point, you got to go, okay, either this person is trolling, or they just don't get it. Maybe they're a little too young, or the language barrier, whatever. And it's like, I have personally found as I've gotten older, I don't have time to keep holding somebody by the hand and trying to educate them, especially after what I had said, which was about what, guys? God, I think that was about 10 minutes on Monday night that we went into all of that. And at the start of the show tonight here, I couldn't even get 3 minutes into the show, and they were already going with the whole, I had to mute them. I didn't like doing that. I had to mute them. I would rather have somebody that is, as a follower, as a potential fan of the show, I would rather have somebody that is very competent in mind and truly can be universal, open-minded, truly unbiased with their thinking than, this. I know this is just speculation. I know this is just rumors, but I'm going to treat it as fact. It's like, no. I especially after I've taken the time to break it down. Seriously, the older I get, I just go, my tolerance for bullshit, it's like, yeah, I'm good. So y'all have been warned. So if you want to pick my brain on a piece of news information that's running about, you want to get my opinion on that, for the record, I have no problem. So, let's say Jacob, is it Jacob? Who is this here? Let's say Jacko in the chat. Let's say he goes, Lee, man, I'm hearing the rumblings that, based on what I was reading online, kind of seems as though Stone Cold Steve Austin is interested in maybe doing a couple more matches. What do you think, dog? Okay, then I'm going to take that for what it's worth, and I'll answer it. But if you're going to treat a news item like that as fact, right? See, you guys aren't thinking the way I'm thinking. See, I have to think the way that I'm thinking because I'm currently in school majoring in broadcast media. So I know what I'm talking about when I'm saying XYZ. That's why I kind of go on and on and on about it. But no, if you guys got a question, you want me to comment on some type of, speculative piece of news that's out there, I got no problem doing that. But to try to act as if something that is being put out there is actual freaking news, yeah, nah, you can miss me with all that. It ain't worth my time, seriously. Unless a lot of people are talking about it, then maybe I'll go there. AEW Dynamite polling results is as follows. Let's go to YouTube first, community section, the RCWR show. See what you guys are saying here. Early votes are still coming in. 25% of you are staying in the middle, while 75% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that sounded off. And now let's go to Twitter at the RCWR show. All right, Twitter. Here we go. Okay, a few more votes in here. I'm seeing a tie at 27%. Thumbs up, staying in the middle. 45% of you are giving it a thumbs down. Now, what I can't help but wonder if those that voted for the thumbs down really actually read it, because once in a while I like to switch it up on the polls. Usually, as far as options, I'll go thumbs up, thumbs down, staying in the middle. This go round, to make sure people were actually reading the poll results, or polling options, I should say, I decided to switch it up and say thumbs down, thumbs up, staying in the middle. So I'm wondering how many people might have actually been thrown off and how many people actually read the polling options for what it was worth and sounded off that way. I would like to imagine people actually did take the time to read that out. So, but yeah, 45% giving this go home edition of Dynamite a thumbs down, while on YouTube, 75% are giving the show a thumbs up. So now that you've heard the results, if you haven't cast your vote yet, go vote. Don't vote on both of them. Just go with the one that you feel best represents where the majority is, and go that route. Got a notification here. Let me see what that's about. Yeah, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. Oh my God. Hang on a second here. Give me a second here. Okay, we're good. All right, so some other little wrestling news tidbits that we can get into. Congratulations are in order for Solo Sikoa, who recently tied the knot, and his beautiful wife, stunningly gorgeous. Check out some of the pictures that they had shared on social media. I first came across them on Instagram. So congrats, Solo Sikoa and Mrs. Sikoa. Kenny Omega, as I had mentioned at the top, he did a interview with Renee Paquette, and he did comment on the All Out Brawl that had went down. During the appearance on the Sessions with Renee Paquette, Kenny Omega spoke about the now infamous All Out Brawl he was involved in and the legal issues that came as a result. Omega said that he'd been gone for months due to injury, and something fell off when he came back. The result of the backstage fight was an incident that they can't really talk about, except now other people in the industry will probably discuss it, sadly, for many years to come. He said, and quote, "Then I felt like 8 months and had passed, and it was time to come back. And it was kind of like the gif of the dude walking in with the pizza boxes and the whole room is on fire, and I didn't get it. I was like, what's this strange atmosphere? What's with this strange aura? Why does something feel so ominous right now, and I didn't even know, I couldn't figure it out. And next you knew, there was more stuff happening. It's so surreal because it's almost like it never happened. It happened, of course. It happened. I hadn't even gotten familiar with my surroundings yet, or refamiliarized backstage with the new AEW at that point, because, I mean, there are new people in the locker room and a lot had happened in 8 months. So to kind of come back and see a lot of old faces, but then feel this eerie sort of, to feel like I was in Erie, Indiana for a second, like, oh boy. And then stranger things started happening, where I was like, oh man, what do I do? This isn't right. Someone needs to be the voice of reason. This is silly. And things fell off the rails, and we're just involved in a very silly situation that people are probably going to be talking about for months and possibly years to come. I don't know. And when he was asked if it bothers him that people are still talking about that incident 6 months later, Kenny Omega said that he initially felt like things would blow over, but now, as it turns out, it's not as simple as that, saying, and I quote, "Here's the thing. Here's the way I look at it. I've been involved in competitive sports, contact sports at the highest level. Some people on our roster have. Some people on our roster have not. I feel like if you have, you've probably been in a spat or two with a teammate. And maybe sometimes at a time or two, it might come to blows. It happens. So coming from that sort of background, there was a point to it all when I felt like, oh, this just happens. We're going to get over it. Just calm down and talk it over. We're all doing okay here, you know? We're getting it out of our system. No problem, but let's maybe stop. But we just don't live in that world anymore, I suppose. Sometimes there are things, especially now when you're in a multi-billion-dollar industry where there are sponsorships on the line, TV deals on the line. It's not like high school football. It's not a little tiff that you might have with someone on your fellow amateur wrestling team or whatever, or maybe someone who held a submission too long in jiu-jitsu training. It's not that these things that should even be happening. It's a shame that the general public and a lot of people aren't ever going to know what went down and how it could have been prevented or how it could have ended differently. You guys with me so far? This goes on from Kenny Omega. That's just sort of how things go again when it's a big business operation. I don't think anyone is happy that it happened or is proud that it happened or anything like that. I think across the board, everyone thinks it was a terrible situation that was unnecessary. So, you know, there was a lot more that he had said, but let's just pause right. Actually, you know what? Because I think this part is kind of critical. It kind of complements everything I just said so far. Let's read this last part here. There was a while when, and I can understand the confusions. It's sort of like, hey, we know this thing happened. We heard this thing happen. It's all over the dirt sheets. We don't know what happened. And it's like we were gone. And we're kind of sworn to secrecy. We can't say anything legally. That was the poppy part where I was like, well, why doesn't anyone tell us what's happening? And then you're forced to form your own opinion or to come up with your own theory as to what exactly happened. And especially when it's like, well, I'm more of a fan of one person than the other. So here's the way I'm going to create the story so that it puts this person in the best possible light. It might be that. Chances are it's something else, or it might be a combination of various theories. We might never get to speak about it, but what's important was no one was seriously injured emerging from that, and I'm so thankful for that. And we've moved on with life. I'm completely fine. It doesn't dictate what I do, what I say. I'm sure the Bucks are in the same boat. I can't speak to the other parties. Hopefully they are doing well, and I mean that that's the finish. So that was very important to read that last part there. So marinate on that for a tick. You know, this, when you combine this with the fact that more and more people have been jumping out there speaking about CM Punk. Mark Henry earlier this week on Busted Open saying, no, I would not show CM Punk the door. I wouldn't have him make his exit from AEW. I actually would have him continue to work with the company. Obviously, there needs to, something needs to happen in the locker room where he sits down with the necessary parties, with maybe the entire locker room, but we're going to continue to do good business. So you got all of that that's going on. You recently had CM Punk on social media pretty much call a fan out after the fan was bashing him. Yeah, hey, I hope to never see you wrestle again, something along those lines. And CM Punk said, oh, but you will see me wrestle again, and I know you want to see me wrestle again. I'm kind of paraphrasing how CM Punk had laid that out. But as you've been noticing, go back even a little bit further than that. You had Seth Rollins who said what he said about CM Punk. Keep him away. Oh, he's a cancer. Pretty much stealing lines right from supposedly what Chris Jericho had said about CM Punk and everything. So, but my whole point, within the past 60 to 90 days, there's been a lot of chatter about CM Punk. And everything really, if you want to be technical as far as the floodgates really opening up and everything, and now everybody's, talking more, opening up a little bit more, not picking a side, but just, hey, I know this is out there, but my own experience involving these parties, it was like this. Danhausen stepping up to the plate, defending CM Punk, talking about how he's had nothing but good experiences with him and everything. Everything, you go back to the main focal point, which was my Twitter buddy and Matt Kuhn, and when he did the FTR podcast there with Dax, first episode, they talked about CM Punk. You could almost say that really had got the ball rolling for others, particularly those in AEW, to kind of talk about this situation without going into the specifics, right? And it's interesting to hear from Kenny Omega, who is one of the EPs of AEW, basically saying, hey, from a legal standpoint, we can't talk about this. We would like to, but there's some things that we cannot. I hear that, and I don't know who it was that had made up this point, but it was a very good point. Okay, from a legal standpoint, they can't say, okay, so has something been filed? If so, where? At which circuit court? And, to our knowledge, there's nothing that has been put on file. So you're like, So then, remember this part. There's a part in here where he says, hey, we were sworn to secrecy, okay? So you're looking at that and you're going, well, there's obviously a lot of moving pieces that's going on to this story and everything. And, in retrospect, you now realize the bigger picture that CM Punk was saying during that medium scrum. I knew what he was saying. I understood where he was coming from a business standpoint. Those that have actually, like myself, and many others, those that have actually spent the time and energy working on their respected business, you know that, hey, I got to be about this. I can't be pussyfooting around. I can't be, and I've always said, I said as far back as the Wrestling with the Topics that me and Tams had did on this very subject, the All Out Brawl and everything. There's a time and place for fun and games, but when you need to be about that business, when you need to be about that money, you need to be on top of that shit. And I always felt, just going back to that All Out Brawl, I always felt that, you know what, if that's how he feels, CM Punk, kudos to him for speaking his mind, but we had no business hearing that out in the open. That should have been said behind closed doors with the EVPs, with Tony Khan, to the point I think I would have to go back and listen to that audio, but I'm pretty sure, and Tams has a really good memory. I'm sure she would be able to re-jog my memory without me even listening to the audio, but I'm pretty sure I said something along the lines of, dude came out immediately after his match was over, bloodied up and everything, eating muffins, and the guy is just, right, no time to shower, no time to get stitched up, and we're just gonna go, just right into this bad boy. I mean, my God, Michael Jordan, the greatest. My lifetime in growing up, that I watched play basketball, anytime he needed to do some type of an interview after the game, he made the media wait. He made them wait. He took his shower. He got freshened up. He put on his best suit, his little earring stud. He made sure that he was crisp and clean and collected. And man, he would give you, it was worth the wait. If you had to wait an hour, 2 hours, it was worth it. because you would be able to pick his brain and you'd get some really good sound bites from the man. So I've always been a firm believer that if a person is feeling a particular way about something and you don't present to them the best opportunity to gather their thoughts, give them an opportunity to kind of cool off when maybe there's some type of irritation, concerns that's going on. If you want to avoid a blow up, basically, because what we saw at that scrum was nothing more than a blow up. All right, I know many people have had their own respective blow ups. Comes at the worst time. We've all been there, right? I've had my share. I remember a couple of months ago, I had a really bad blow up at my evening gig where, it was just a big old miscommunication. I owned up to it, but, initially when it all had played out, it was really, really bad. I said some stuff that I had no business saying. And if it would have been a situation where management was aware, health-wise, what was going on with me, they would have let the situation be, and things would not have escalated the way that it escalated, where just a vitriol of stuff just, was said that didn't need to be said. We've all been there. It's happened, right? So I do believe, contrary to how some people may feel about CM Punk, he's done with AEW. I've told you guys, not almost since day one of the Brawl, but I said to you guys, the minute that all those supposed suspensions went down and all that, I said, look, until Tony Khan says that CM Punk is done with AEW, nah, man, like, if you're an AEW fan, if you're a CM Punk fan, and you actually want for CM Punk to continue on in AEW, just until Tony Khan says it's over and done with, he's most likely he's going to be back. He's just got to heal up, all that good stuff. So that's going to make this Revolution pay-per-view and the next one that they do interesting, because depending on where CM Punk is with his recovery, I feel at this point, when CM Punk does return, I'm making a bold prediction for you guys. This is one of my bold predictions. We got to get into predictions, too, for 2023. I'll tell you what, we'll do that on Monday's RCWR show for sure. But one of my predictions I'm putting out there is that CM Punk not only will return to professional wrestling in 2023, but he's going to do it through AEW. And I'm going to jump out there even further. If a CM Punk return does not happen at this weekend's Revolution pay-per-view, then look for CM Punk to definitely return at the next pay-per-view for AEW. At this point, you don't need to do no TV. You don't need to do that. Look, you already are having a great relationship with Warner Media. Warner Discovery, I should say. You already have a great relationship with them. They've sung high praises for the AEW product. The renegotiations and all that, everything should go off without a hitch unless something just, pump the brakes, goes down. And just buy CM Punk even more time to get his affairs in order and all that, heal up, all that good stuff. Don't come back at 100%. Come back at 150% and then do the damn thing. That's what I think is basically going to be going down. Muhammad in the chat says, fans have wanted CM Punk to come back to wrestling in years. Is that true or not? It has come to realization. Be more specific. I'm trying to understand exactly what you mean by that comment. I'm trying to make sense of that. Fans, let me try to clean that up. Are you saying fans have wanted CM Punk to come back to wrestling for years? Because if you're trying to say that, that is actually true, which is why AEW Rampage had got such a high number it did when CM Punk made his return. And, So it did come to realization to answer your question. You don't need me for that, though. You can easily find that out online. But yeah, hopefully that answered your question. If not, clarify on what you mean about that a little bit more. So that's that. Goldberg was recently quoted in an interview where about one more match, apparently. He says, never say never, especially in wrestling, and they owe me one. No, they don't, brother. They give you a decent amount of money, especially that good Saudi money. You're good. That's all I can say. I made a deal with the devil and I did my job, and they owe me a retirement match. At the end of the day, at 56, it's not something where I'm sitting by the phone waiting for a call, nor should you be, especially with the new regime that's at the helm. I've got a few ideas of how to do it on my own, possibly in Israel. So never say never. Honestly, I'm good on the Bill Goldberg. I'm personally, I'm good. Look, I think it's phenomenal that in the later stages of his life, just what all he has been able to do physically, I really came to appreciate this man's dedication even more when it came to that Goldberg 24/7 special, and they showed him getting stretched out, and he was letting out shrieks like a mofo and everything. I just want this guy to be able to enjoy himself, go enjoy his beautiful wife, go enjoy the kid, and work on cars, and just go. You don't need to do anything more. But if this man is insisting on one more match, Jesus, who do you give that one more match to? Seriously, who do you have go in there? I kind of feel that if you're gonna have Goldberg do one more match, put over a younger person, put over somebody that could definitely get a serious rub off of that, right? Because I would want them to actually defeat Goldberg. So for me personally, I don't know how you all personally, feel about this one. You can sound off in the comments and let me know. I'll probably actually make this be a clip too, for uploading and all that. But I feel as though Gunther, I think if you can create some type of a situation where somehow Gunther and Goldberg were to have a one-on-one match, that would be pretty freaking badass. You definitely should do something with those two. And Gunther is, 35? He's going to be 36 this August. If you weren't going to do anything with Gunther, then I think Braun Breaker is much younger. I think Braun Breaker, matter of fact, let me look at his age right now. Under the right circumstances, you could definitely do something with Braun. Yeah, Braun Breaker's 25. Then I would definitely Gunther first, Braun Breaker second. Those would be my main two. And on his way out the door, let Goldberg do the right thing. Let him do the respected deed. He's already a WWE Hall of Famer and all of that good stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with losing, because when you think about marquee matches, as far as, okay, this is just a main attraction match. Well, Undertaker's retired. Triple H is having, sadly, the health problems that he's having, so he's out of the equation. So as far as another OG goes, who are you going to have Bill Goldberg face? I mean, there's really, I'll leave it to you guys. What OG are you going to bring in there that, okay, this guy still looks exactly 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, let's freaking go. Can still move in the ring, all that good stuff. Is definitely going to be a draw. Still on good terms with WWE. Hasn't done no slanderous BS online. Mohammed, when CM Punk left wrestling, fans had cried for him to come back. At that time, CM Punk wasn't wrestling and fans was bothering him in terms of coming back, and now he's back. While it lasts. Again, Muhammad, I'm not being a dick, but I'm not sure what exactly, what are you trying to ask specifically? Because I remember very well when CM Punk had turned his face on wrestling. You know, there were a lot of fans that were asking him, you know, hey, dude, what's going on? When are you going to come back? There was the honeymoon period where they understood how hurt he felt and all that, and they felt that he rolled out of wrestling at the very height of his career, and they wanted to see him continue to. But when you have somebody that falls out of love, you know, obviously they're going to go do any and everything else. And, you know, he had to do some soul searching. You know, as we know, he dipped into acting, wrote some comics here and there, and eventually he found his way back and all that. Now, if you were to say to me, if you're trying to say to me, hey, it's kind of funny that some of the same people that were like, hey, CM Punk, come back to wrestling, you know, he comes back, and then the stuff happens with the All Out Brawl, how these same fans kind of turned into hypocrites. If that's what you're trying to say, I agree with you on that 100%. 100%. All right, so we got that. What else as far as wrestling headlines go? I think that is it. I see what's going on with the NXT ratings for this week. They had got about 555,000 viewers. Last week's audience average was about 589. So not that good of a dip, man. Not that good of a dip at all. Once again, I want to remind you guys that superstar Billy Graham needs some help. There is a GoFundMe that's up right now. If you need the skinny on what's going on with superstar Billy Graham, check out episode number 1006 of the RCWR show. If you don't mind going for the webcast version up on YouTube, I actually put it in chapters, timestamps, so you can jump right ahead. I explain everything that's going on with superstar as well as his wife. If you are not financially in a position to give, that's okay. Just share that link. Hang on a second. Share that link. I'm actually getting ready to put it up in the chat here. Give me a second here. If you're not able to financially give, do the next best thing and share the link on your respected social media feeds and all that. But the link that I just posted about superstar Billy Graham, that's gonna open it up and take you right to, you know, it may say Facebook, but basically I had copied the Facebook URL of the GoFundMe page. But don't let that link fool you. It's gonna take you directly to superstar Billy Graham's recovery fund page. And as you can see, as it stands right now at the time of this recording, they're at about $5,864. Their goal is to try to hit $25,000. So see, you know, if you're all able to contribute, great. If not, just share the link on your social media. I'm sure someone in your circle will be able to you know, help them out and everything. I'm sure they would definitely appreciate it. Let's get into AEW Revolution, and then we'll give you guys some quick programming notes, wrap up the show and everything. So AEW Revolution is going to be going down, what is it, Saturday? No, Sunday, March 5th. Big week. We got Creed 3 on March 3, right? I gotta get with the wifey. I gotta figure out if she's down for seeing this, or if she's like, let's pay respect to Sly Stallone. Let's not check this out. I gotta see how she's feeling in regards to that. I think we're okay, because if I remember correctly, something was supposed to happen with Dolph Lundgren as Ivan Drago, and that had pissed off Stallone big time. But Stallone recently said that him and Michael Jordan, they're cool. You know, they get along and all of that. So I don't think there's any ill will towards this Creed movie that's getting ready to come. And then, not to mention, what would you have Rocky Balboa do in this installment? Seriously, what would be the whole point of, I mean, unless you're gonna maybe, what other family personal thing could you have go on with him in this movie? I mean, that's really up in the air, right? So I don't know about that. But anyway, All Elite Wrestling presenting AEW Revolution, San Francisco, California at the Chase Center, Saturday, March 5th. So far, we've got 8 matches. Let me just refresh, make sure that nothing new was added here. I don't think there was, but let me see. We're good. Christian Cage faces Jungle Boy Jack Perry. No holds barred match. See, on the one hand, Christian Cage just came back. So you kind of feel as though, well, let's really get things cooking and everything, and let's go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Christian Cage. Because what I would ultimately like to see happen from out of this is mainly Jungle Boy gets pushed to the edge even more. I want to see a Jungle Boy that officially, the next time we see him pop up after losing this match to Christian Cage, subtly tells whoever's interviewing him, stop calling me Jungle Boy. The name is Jack Perry. That's one. I want to see him have some type of a new look as well. Honestly, I'd like to see the guy with a beard. I'm curious how he would look with you know, not a full beard, but I'm curious how he would look with, you know, some serious stubble, because I want to see the maturity. I want to see the aggression. I want to see the weary mind. I want to see him be in a position where all he has basically done since he lost this no holds barred match to Christian Cage, eat, sleep, just all he's thinking about is extracting revenge, right? Taking it to a whole nother level as far as the word obsession goes with Christian Cage. So I'm actually going to go with Christian Cage for the victory here. The Elite, Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson defend AEW World Trios titles against the House of Black. I personally would like to see House of Black as the new Trios champions, but I feel as though it's not going to happen at the pay-per-view. I feel as though it's not going to happen. This really feels like opening of Act 1, and that this is going to definitely continue on AEW programming. I'm seeing somehow the Elite barely coming out of this with the win. I don't think cheating is going to be involved, but I don't see cheating to retain, but somehow they're going to get it. They're going to get it, but I don't see the title changing hands at Revolution. Jamie Hayter defends the AEW Women's Championship against Saraya and Ruby Soho. 3-way match. I'm seeing Jamie Hayter for the retain, but where you really need to have your money on right now is what's going on with Britt Baker. Because they've already planted the seeds, and they kind of reemphasized it on last week's Dynamite there when Jamie Hayter decided she was going to reward Ruby Soho for the string of victories she's been getting in as of late. When Jamie Hayter decided to give Ruby a nod, give her a shot at the championship, and that gave a stunned look on the face of Britt Baker. So you could definitely take that, and if anybody deserved a shot at the championship, surely the best friend of Britt Baker was the deal. The real question you got to be asking yourselves right here in this three-way is, will Britt Baker on this night turn on Jamie Hayter and not so much side with Saraya Toni Storm, but will Jamie Hayter on this night let her intentions truly be known, or is this going to stretch out just a little bit longer here? I'm already ready, though, to see just this whole thing be over and done with between all these girls, Toni Storm, Saraya. I haven't been feeling it, okay? I want to see Jamie Hayter, Britt go back to doing their own thing when they were tag teaming and all. Phenomenal work that they do as a tag team. Ruby, they got to find something else there for Ruby, because I just feel that all these girls are kind of hurting here with this weak-ass wannabe NWO. I mean, you see exactly what they're trying to do here, but it feels like they still haven't quite figured out all the pieces. It's coming off like they're trying to do a AEW original girls versus the establishment of girls from the former promotion. That's how it's kind of coming off, but hasn't really been going off that well from what we've been seeing on TV these past several weeks, especially everybody trying to do their best to wear kid gloves there with Saraya. Look, you're cleared, you're ready to go, then go all balls out, I always say. Or all or nothing at all, to quote one of my favorite Sinatra songs. Chris Jericho taking on Ricky Starks. Remember, one-on-one match, Jericho Appreciation Society are banned at ringside. I can't help but wonder if before this match is underway, if the Jericho Appreciation Society gets in a attack on Ricky Starks, and if in the process of that, Action Andrade, comes out there and tries to help out a little bit. Or if not, if that's all not even going to happen, it's strictly going to be a straight up one-on-one match. I really like Ricky Starks. I really like the young man. Fucking phenomenal wrestler. I would love to see Jericho do the right thing here and give this young man a serious rub. Give the 33-year-old a serious rub, I personally say. The win would do nothing for Jericho. Straight up, it would do nothing for Jericho. So this has to be the one match of all the matches I'm looking at that I'm eagerly anticipating as far as should be the most entertaining. As far as the finish goes, I'm hoping the right thing goes down and Ricky Starks goes over in this one. Let's see. Samoa Joe defends the TNT Championship against Wardlow. And remember, you got Powerhouse Hobbs, who's going to be waiting in the wings and all that for a shot at the TNT Championship next. Okay, so it's the TNT Championship. I thought Darby had won the TNT Championship back. Huh. Hang on a second. Let me go back here. Doesn't seem out. Hang on. Give me a second there, guys. I could have sworn Darby Allin had won the TNT Championship back. All right, let me go here. Hang on a second. All Elite Wrestling. Unless, you know what? Hang on here. Give me a second here, because I know there was a week or two I had missed an episode of Dynamite, and I never did catch up on it on the DVR. So I'm looking at who the current champions are right now. So bear with me a second here. And I'll be able to. Let's see here. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so Samoa Joe. Okay, so Samoa Joe is the TNT champion. Okay. Now show me. So wait. Hang on a second here. Yeah, that's what I last remember. So Darby Allin, it's hard to keep track here, but so we're all on the same page, everybody. Darby Allin did win the TNT Championship. It was on the January 4th episode of Dynamite for this year. That episode I did see, but apparently it was the February 1st episode of Dynamite. I don't recall doing a post show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't watch that episode. Apparently Samoa Joe won the championship back. So Samoa Joe currently is the TNT champion. All right, so keeping that in mind, maybe an appearance from Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs might be a little bit salty over the fact that, you know, his celebration, if you will, was interrupted from tonight, you know, winning the right to face, you know, the TNT champion in the future. You know, maybe Powerhouse Hobbs becomes a little bit salty, makes his presence felt in this one, kind of picking up on what I had said earlier about these three men continuing on from what they had did a couple of months back. But I'm going to go with Samoa Joe for the retain. Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page, Texas Death Match. I'm really pulling for these guys to have a balls out instant classic, and I really feel in my bones that they will. I would be truly shocked if they didn't. I've actually been enjoying this feud, to be honest with you. Doesn't matter to me who wins this one. I just want to see a really damn good all-out, balls-out match. So I don't have... I'll just pick one, just to pick one. I'll go with Hangman Adam Page. How about that? I'll go with Hangman Adam Page. Let's build him up some more. Yeah, as far as a singles competitor guy goes and all that. Let's build him up some more, okay? Let's see here. Guns versus Acclaim versus Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Orange Cassidy, Danhausen. Fatal 4-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Titles. I'm going with the Acclaimed. I think the Guns winning the tag titles, I just feel that all of that was just done as a nice way from Tony Khan and crew. Hey, thanks for re-upping. Okay, as a way of saying, hey, we appreciate you. You know, and hey, not for nothing, but you know, you have been putting in the work. We want for you guys to have the Acclaim, you know, chase after you for a little bit. Ultimately, we want to have the Acclaim win the tag titles on a pay-per-view in front of a really big crowd. I think that is truly what's going on here, because if you've kind of noticed, ever since the Guns won those AEW tag titles, they have taken a significant backseat. So I don't know if maybe this is truly by design, or if it's a case, where Tony Khan is going, man, paying attention to the social media chatter. Yeah, we really messed up here with the Guns being the tag champions. Okay, we got to make this right. I would truly be shocked to see the Acclaimed not coming out of this pay-per-view as the new tag champions, all things considered. 60-man minute. Wow, no Jade Cargill defending the championship? Are you serious? We don't have her? I know it's the TBS, you know, but still. Maybe they'll do something during the pre-show. Maybe they'll have her do something there, but damn. Did she even do anything on the last pay-per-view now? See, let's go back. Full Gear. See here. See if they had her do anything at Full Gear. I'm already on full gear, so give me a second. Yeah, she did something on the last one, and it was a singles match for the TBS Championship. She defended it against Nyla Rose. And now we're going into the first AEW pay-per-view of 2023, and you really want to have all the big guns out. And for somebody that is what now 53-0 or whatever the hell is going on with that streak, we are not fitting her on this card. Really, you gotta at least have her make an appearance. You know what? Well, I'm gonna make a prediction. Jade Cargill comes out. Let's have some fun here. Wishful thinking. Jade Cargill comes out some point during the pay-per-view, issues a challenge to anybody to come out, face her for the championship, because she is the baddest bitch, and it's that bitch show. And how about Mercedes Moné come out? The streak is over. How about that? That would get a lot of reactions. That would definitely get people, and not for nothing, but you would like to believe sooner or later, all good business between Tony Khan and Mercedes Moné. You would like to believe that we're eventually going to see her do a little something in AEW. I didn't get a chance to check out the Bayley interview with Ariel Helwani yet. I only know about little snippets. I don't feel comfortable talking enough about it right now, but I'm bringing that up because I know Bayley, that is, had mentioned how eventually she feels Sasha will be back in the WWE. It's just a matter of when, basically. So, but yeah, let's go with that. I mean, look, either that or Jay just comes out, hey, I'm issuing a challenge. Maybe somebody we haven't seen in a good minute, or hell, if you really want to do a swerve, Jamie Hayter comes out there, challenges Jade for the championship. I mean, you got some options. You definitely got some damn options. I don't know where Tony Khan and AEW are as far as their relationship goes with Impact, NWA, but I have a feeling Jade's going to come out, issue some type of a challenge, and somebody's going to take her up on it. So, to be continued. 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. MJF defends against Bryan Danielson. Should be a damn good match. This is going to be my... I'm looking at the whole card here. I'm just trying to see who's going to be the sleeper hit of the night. I got Jericho and Ricky Starks being the sleeper hit of the night. MJF versus Bryan Danielson should be a absolute textbook classic 5-star match. Anything less would be uncivilized. No, anything less would be like, what the hell? I think these two are going to have the wrestling community in a frenzy after this match. So I see just about the first 5 minutes of this match with these guys just circling around each other, eating up the crowd reaction and all that. I see MJF early on doing a lot of showboating for sure. If you're doing this right, I would like to see... If you're doing this right, I would like to see on top of MJF doing a lot of showboating, eventually kind of playing a game of catch the weasel with Danielson. Gets Danielson in a really bad spot, takes advantage, is on the offense for a bit, works the game. Danielson comes back, okay? MJF, first fall. Right? Just you got to stretch it out. You got to fucking stretch it out. I have no doubt that these two men have been putting in all the work, especially as far as the psychology, just laying everything out. I have no doubt that these guys are very prepared for what they're about to do here. And it's going to be a fucking banger classic. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one. But as far as the championship, ooh. Does MJF get some type of help from somebody? Because remember what I said earlier? I said, yo, CM Punk, if not this pay-per-view, the next AEW pay-per-view. So is CM Punk healthy enough? Do you maybe, all the chatter that's been happening as of late, does he maybe make his return here? And wouldn't that be interesting? You have your pay-per-view go off with the burning question. It's a two-part question. One, holy shit, CM Punk is back. Two, why the hell does CM Punk help MJF? Or is that not needed and you just kind of, it kind of feels like by design, MJF is definitely going to cheat. Make no mistake about that. He's definitely going to cheat. But what I can't quite figure out is he going to get some type of help in doing so. That's where I'm a little bit on the fence about. Either way, though, I'm going to say MJF retains the AEW World Championship. Whether he gets some type of help by somebody we haven't seen in a good minute, or, hey, little buddy, you came out of nowhere, licking my foot. My puppy came to say hi. Yeah. I don't see Bryan Danielson. Yeah, no. You got to continue to play up that whole bidding war of 2024 BS and all that. So I'm going to go with MJF. Something monumental is going to happen, though, in the last several minutes of that Revolution joint. I promise you that. Something major is going to go down. I can't believe that I went over this whole card and I don't even see Darby Allin. I don't see Sting. That's a first. That is a first. Again, got to go to that pre-show. We'll see what happens in regards to that pre-show if some stuff goes down. One more time, taking it from the bottom to the top. I'm going with Christian Cage over Jungle Boy. The Elite retain over House of Black. Jamie Hayter retains over Saraya and Ruby Soho. Ricky Starks defeats Chris Jericho. Samoa Joe retains the TNT Championship against Wardlow. Hangman Page defeats Jon Moxley in the Texas Death Match. Acclaimed to become your new tag champions in the Fatal 4-Way. MJF, definitely by crook, retains the AEW World Heavyweight Championship in that Iron Man match against Bryan Danielson. I'll upload this later on and make it be a standalone piece so you guys can sound off about what you think is going to happen at the pay-per-view. There will be a AEW Revolution post show. I will definitely be doing one for you guys as soon as the event is over. So definitely stay tuned. Also, I want to give Wild Women of Wrestling a shout out because I wasn't even aware of this news, but apparently they have the newest season that's been underway. God, I think they made their return last September. They have finally began uploading episodes of this newest season onto Pluto TV. And if you are like me, you like checking out stuff for free, you know that with Pluto TV, ain't no credit card required. You just pretty much download that app and then launch it and you can enjoy. I know there's been a decent amount of you guys that's been saying, Lee, how can I check out Wild Women of Wrestling? I see this, whether it's asked to me or I see this on social media, and they made it really easy. You can go on the WOWE site, Wild's website, type in your zip code, and they tell you all the ways that you'd be able to watch for your respective cable satellite provider. I know that there's also those of you want to be able to enjoy the episodes when it first airs, when it has its first run in weekend syndication, as opposed to waiting for the episodes to drop Monday on their YouTube channel. So what I can't figure out right now is how long is it going to take for, say, an episode drops this weekend. Okay, is it going to be available on Pluto the day after, 2 days after? How's that going to go down? I haven't even played around with Pluto yet, because the last time I did was actually 3 a.m. today, just to see, what episodes from this newest season that they're still in is on Pluto, and they didn't upload it yet. They were still on the Tessa Blanchard season. They didn't even cover the lost episodes. Far as I know, they didn't even cover the lost episodes that I've been telling you guys about. So it was kind of like, So check that out again on Pluto. But this weekend, AEW Revolution post show will also have a Wild Women of Wrestling post show for you guys as well. I'm working out the kinks. I won't make any announcement just yet, but the people at WoW, they've already reached out to me and given me some names as far as who they would like for me to sit down with next. So I'm just ironing out the details as far as date times, availability, and all that. So I'm not gonna make any announcements just yet, but when I do, make sure you stay connected on social media so that you'll know what's going on. Hey, if you enjoyed yourselves, and I really hope that you did, take the time out, make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, all that good jazz. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR Show. Support the show on demand and on the downloads. Shout out to our audio listeners. You guys, y'all been crushing it the past 2 months. You've given us some of our best numbers for the audio format that I've seen in recent months. So keep it coming. Appreciate the love and support as always. Best way to support the show, I always say, if you're an audio listener, go with Spotify, go with Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, go with Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Alexa. You can say, hey Alexa, play the latest episode of the RCWR show. Those are the best ways. If you're an audio listener, audio lover, those are the best ways that you can support the show. Leave some ratings and reviews. It really helps more people to be able to discover the podcast with greater ease. That is going to do it. Until next go around, wishing all of y'all to be safe, most importantly, be kind to one another, and I will see you guys this weekend for your AEW Revolution pay-per-view post-show recap. Take care, y'all. Peace.